So, Phil, you want to talk a little bit about where that came from, what details you're willing to share on what happened, and then we can use that to propel us into the rest of our conversation around the brain science of trust.
Yeah, and I won't go into a lot of details to save the innocent and the not so innocent, me being probably on the not so innocent side of things. But someone who was relatively close to me did something behind my back, which what he did, no problem with whatsoever. But it was one of those things that would have been nice to have heard from him directly rather than through a third party. And so I was driving back from learning about this, and I was contemplating as I was driving along, and I was thinking that had shattered my trust. And whereas the trust level was probably 9.5 out of 10, it's now down at a 3. And so that was I don't want to say brain unwise moment. The wise part of it was I recognized what was going on and said, we need to do something about it. And so I'm putting in motion what to do about it. And for those people who might be curious, there's a structured conversation that you can have about when trust is lost. Happy to share that maybe even later today or in the next episode.
First, before I talk about the question, I want to acknowledge the experience that you had, because one of the things that I always talk about is acknowledge what we've gone through and give ourselves a moment to, whether it's grieving it or whether it's to just being able to save space for what we've experienced. And I'm sorry that you had to experience the breaking of trust with someone who was really close to you. I can't imagine the feelings that came out of that experience and kind of the emotional journey that you were on.
I appreciate that. And for our BrainWise listeners, so if you step back from that, unpack it, one of the things that helps our brains is if you can actually label what's going on, not dwell on it, but just say, hey, I fill in the blank. In my case, I felt violated. And then I'm not sure we know why, but the fact of labeling things seems to be part of a step of saying, oh, okay, I got it. As a little micro tool, if you like, in being able to label what's going on, it helps.
It actually applies to a little bit around empathy. And if we as individuals can help knowing what you've experienced this week, it's easy for people to just skip over it and move on and not leave a little bit of space for it to happen. Because when you can acknowledge through demonstrating empathy, we shared our empathetic statement, which is I understand that blank has you feeling blank.